So why did we let the situation with our children's health get so bad? Well, a lot of it has to do with the social and economic decisions made by our politicians over the last 30 years. The New Zealand I grew up in was a socialist country in which we, the people, owned all the really important things, like our electricity network, our telephone system, and the railways. The idea was that we should own and share the nation's wealth. So the government set strict controls on how we could invest and spend our money. For the first 25 years after World War II, our heavily regulated economy worked pretty well. There were more jobs than people to do them. Families were encouraged to own their own homes. And food was so cheap that the typical Sunday meal was a roast leg of lamb. We were able to have such a well-regulated society because we had one sure market to whom we sold all of our surplus meat and dairy products, Mother England. But then in 1971, our comfortable way of life was shaken with the news that Britain was going to join the European Common Market, and we would have to find new places to sell our exports. Then in 1973 came the oil shock when the Arab nations decided to restrict oil supplies to the West. Overnight, our economy was in trouble. The real answer Prime Minister Muldoon told us was to think big, to refine our own oil. So we borrowed heavily from overseas banks to develop our own resources. But then, oil prices fell, and the Think Big projects became a liability. Our money lost its buying power as inflation got out of control, and so Muldoon put a freeze on prices and wages. But it didn't work. And by the time the fourth Labour government took office in 1984, we were very nearly broke. The solution the incoming Minister of Finance Roger Douglas decided was to sell up state assets, pay off our debts, and remove the government shackles that were holding back the business community from making money. What we needed, he said, was a free market in which the user would pay for what they consumed through a new tax to be known as GST. Yes, some people would get very rich, but then we were told that didn't matter. The wealth created by the new business elite would trickle down to the poor. But it didn't. The new economic liberalism that sold big business our public utilities created a selfish society in which the gap between the haves and the have-nots became huge. As the we society changed into the me society, businesses cut costs and shed workers. As unemployment and food prices rose, so too did the diseases and infections of poverty. Nowhere was this more evident than when Nationals Finance Minister Ruth Richardson slashed benefits in the mother of all budgets. Since the introduction of the free market economy, all of the diseases of poverty that affect poor children most have all gone up. And trying to generate wealth, we are bankrupting our children's health. Whatever the intention, the trickle-down theory just hasn't worked. In our switch to the free market economy, we've created such a wide gap between the rich and the poor that it's now estimated that 1 in 5 children live in a house where the major caregiver is on some sort of benefit. That's 230,000 children, equivalent to the populations of Wellington and Dunedin cities combined.